Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1990's Represent. We're starting off our fourth cycle in 1991 with an album, and this episode we're talking about 10 by Pearl Jam, their debut studio album, an excellent rock slash grunge album, released kind of like within the same time period as a bunch of other iconic 1991 albums. I actually have a list here. Let me actually jump back in my notebook to another episode where we discussed this. So it was seven albums, seven kind of historic albums over a 44-day period. I don't know exactly what order these were released in, but in that 44 days, Pearl Jam released 10, Metallica released the Black Album, or just called Metallica. We have Guns N' Roses releasing Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2. Red Hot Chili Peppers released Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Soundgarden released Bad Motorfinger. And Nirvana released Nevermind. And those were all released within 44 days of one another. So that is just a huge run of just incredible albums. I think I've listened to all of these actually. So yeah, we covered Metallica recently. We're covering Pearl Jam now. Guns N' Roses will definitely be on a feature cycle in 1991 for Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. Potentially Bad Motorfinger as well. That's a great album. Nirvana, Nevermind. I don't know if we did Nevermind yet or not. We may have. I have to double check because did we do Nirvana on this? Yeah, we did Nevermind already as well. So looks like the only ones still on this to do are going to be Use Your Illusion and Bad Motorfinger, which we will probably get to in future cycles. But this episode, again, we are talking about 10 by Pearl Jam. I have some notes here about the album. We'll get through the track list and all that as well. So again, this is their debut studio album. I have this one on CD somewhere. I've had the CD since, I'm going to say, 1995. It was one of the Columbia House. I joined Columbia House very briefly in 1995, I think it was between October or November of 1995 through January of 1996, just enough to where I committed you buy your two full price albums and you get 10 for $1 or whatever it was. This is one of the ones I got for in that 10 for $1 or 8 for $1 or whatever it was promotion. The other album that I ended up buying from them as part of that promotion was, we just talked about it a second ago, was Blood Sugar Sex Magic by Red Hot Chili Peppers. So for a few months I had Columbia House and got some of my most favorite albums I've had came from them. I'm going to say Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette, Garbage's self-titled debut, the Foo Fighters' self-titled debut, this album as well. Anyhow, so the band essentially was formed by Jeff Ament and Stone Gossard after leaving, or their other band called Mother Love Bone had broken up. So they started working on new music, and they had a 5-track, 5-song instrumental demo tape. Interesting thing about that is Matt Cameron was also featured on that demo tape doing some of the drumming. He was probably still with Soundgarden at the time, because I think he was with Soundgarden until they broke up. The kind of funny thing now is Matt Cameron is the drummer in Pearl Jam, which is really cool. So he did a little bit of work with them when they were just starting out, probably just doing some demo tapes, and now has been in the band for a while as well. Dave Crewson and Eddie Vedder were invited to audition for the band, and they were given access to those tapes. Of course, obviously they went with Eddie Vedder, who iconic frontman for the band, amazing singing voice. Some of the done solo stuff as well. That's also incredible. Considered to be a grunge classic, but a lot of people actually look at the album and say that it's has more of a classic rock influence. They usually cite Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin, but I still definitely think it falls into that grunge period where you just had, especially the Seattle scene, you had Nirvana, you had Pearl Jam, like Alice in Chains. I don't know, remember if Soundgarden, or not Soundgarden. No, Soundgarden would have been in there. I'm thinking more Stone Temple Pilots. They were part of the Seattle scene, but they were kind of like grouped into grunge, even though like their debut album came out like a year or so after this one. But just the early '90s, like Seattle, like grunge music scene was just incredible. You had like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden doing just incredible work during that time period. So definitely feel that yeah, I still say it is a grunge album, even though a lot of people have said that it has more of a classic rock vibe to it, or feels more inspired by classic rock. But I still put it under grunge when I when I listened to it earlier this year. I put it under grunge in my little spreadsheet that I keep. It wasn't immediately like super successful. Like it was kind of a slow burn, but like by the end or late 1992, it had reached number two on the Billboard 200. So it took a while to get there. It didn't like get there like instantaneously, like some like nowadays, like a popular musician or artist or band drops an album and it immediately like debuts at number one. I don't think this did that, but it started climbing and climbing and climbing and getting more and more popular. And like I said, it's an incredible album. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend doing so. Let's see what we hear. There were some four really good singles released off this album, including "Alive," "Even Flow," "Jeremy," and "Oceans." "Alive" is a classic. It's like I feel. It's like I don't really want to do like a Eddie Vedder impression, but it's like I feel alive, or however it goes. That's probably really bad, but "Alive" is great. "Even Flow" is just really good. "Even Flow" just like kicks in very hard. I even think like if I'm when Raven I think was wrestling in WCW, like years after this, he had his finisher was called the Even Flow DDT. I don't know if it was inspired by the name of the song, but it very well could have been. Even Flow is a classic song. Jeremy, of course, is iconic, and then Oceans is incredible as well. So those are like the four singles. Were recorded at London Bridge Studios in Seattle. Cool thing is like reference to the cover. Like there's always supposed to be often at the point that way. Pointing that way is if you ever seen the Foo Fighters horror film Studio 666, they reference, I think it's at least a couple times in the movie, the Pearl Jam high five. Everybody all the Foo Fighters put their hand up like that, and kind of in a similar fashion to the cover right over there. So that's pretty interesting, pretty funny. Let me actually bring up the reviews because it came out to pretty good reviews overall. Let's see here. So just some quick review scores here. AllMusic gave it a 5 out of 5. Blender has it at a 5 out of 5. Chicago Tribune has it at a 4 out of 4. A B minus of Entertainment Weekly. Mojo has it at a 4 out of 5. Enemy, kind of a little bit middling for them. They gave it a 5 out of 10. Q has it at a 4 out of 5. The Rolling Stone Album Guide also has it at a 4 out of 5. Uncut has it at a 5 out of 5. And the Village Voice has it at a B minus. So overall, some pretty good reviews. The NME one being the only one that's maybe a little bit negative, or it's like maybe average with a 5 out of 10. We're now going to jump into our track listing here. We pull down to this. So we have 11 tracks here, and it comes in at about 53 minutes and 20 seconds. Track 1 is Once. Track 2 is Even Flow. Like it flows, though pun not necessarily intended. Flows very nicely from Once into Even Flow. Like the intro of Even Flow is amazing. From Even Flow, we go to track 3, which is Alive. It's like, I'm so alive. Or I don't know if I'm doing it correct. I'm definitely not doing it justice. But Alive is great. Let me actually look up the lyrics to Alive because I think I'm doing it correctly. But hopefully, I'm actually doing justice to these lyrics, kind of. Let me just pull these up really quickly. It's like, oh, I'm still alive. It's like, hey, I'm still alive. Like that. So, yeah, I was kind of doing it all right, I guess, just a little bit. But anyway, track 3 is Alive. Track 4 is Why Go. Track 5 is Black, which is just another iconic track there. Track 6 is Jeremy, one of the more kind of well-known tracks off the album. I think before I got this CD, like maybe like the year before, I think Jeremy and Alive were like the only songs I really knew. And then, of course, when I got the album in 1995, listened to it all the way through, and then listened to it again like over the years, and again recently within like the last like couple weeks. But yeah, so track 6 is Jeremy. Track 7 is Oceans. Track 8 is Porch. Track 9 is Garden. Track 10 is Deep. And track 11 is Release. And so again, it's 11 tracks, 53 minutes and 20 seconds. It's an incredible like rock grunge album. A very good way to get kind of like your debut album, having it be this good. So it's very, very good. I highly recommend checking it out. And like I said, one of the albums that all came out within a 44-day period of one another. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll definitely be covering, I think the only ones we haven't done so far, Bad Motorfinger and Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, which will definitely be featured on future cycles when we get to 1991. But that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll be back again in a few days with a movie. No idea what that movie's going to be just yet, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. So that'll be ready in a few days. And then after that, we'll be moving into a video game before moving into 1992 and the rest of the decade again. So again, we're in our 4th cycle right now, and we have a couple more episodes coming up for 1991. 1991, one of my favorite years in the 90s. Had a lot of fun that year, and a lot of like great memories, including obviously like music and things like that. Even though I didn't listen to this album right away, I think I probably heard a song or two off of it that year, and then like more over the next like couple years before I actually got the album. But again, that's going to do for now. So thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.